so that we can watch this video, or that folks who can't join us can watch it later.
Hello.
Hi. I'm gonna mute us because of this one.
All right, it's 4 o'clock. I just muted you all because I have that power, I think. Maybe I don't. I'm going to give you guys the option back to unmute yourselves and mute yourselves, but just so that we can clearly hear all of us, let's do our best to mute ourselves when we're not speaking. And I will turn off the enter-exit chime. But hello, everyone. I'm so excited to see you, if not in person, then in your homes. This is my first Zoom meeting as a host, and so I'm grateful for your attention, and I'm going to do my best to be exciting and brief and clear. This is our 5th Solution Supper. Eric, you can shake your head yes or yes. We've had an exciting journey. My name is Caitlin Vodla, and I'm Regional Director at Cook Inlet Keeper. This is a formality because all of you know me very well, but this is for anyone who watches our video later who doesn't know what we're all about. This has been a great journey of many people, and it started out as a climate change in our backyard conference many years ago at the League of Women Voters, and has morphed through the years into a community group called Kenai Change, who tackles a lot of great issues together around climate change and sustainability. And last year we had a wonderful book to climate action group around the book Drawdown. And after 7 months of a book to action club, we started a solution together around community compost, and then Solarize. And we are into our, let's see, November, December, we're into our 4th month of that solution. So it's pretty exciting. So that's a bit of a background. And I wanted to share with you that we are not social distancing, but we are socializing distantly. Thanks, Heidi, and Marianne said we are in spacious solidarity with each other. That was a good way to put it. I know that this is a very strange time, but the silver lining is that we get to learn how to do fun things like this together. And wow, this is so interesting. There's lots of fun things happening, like somebody else is now the recording on my center screen. But I wanted to try a quick little feature for those of you who this is your first Zoom time too, or maybe you're old seasoned hacks. I wanted to introduce you to breakout rooms. So we're going to quickly dive in and just share amongst the couple of us in the breakout room a brief introduction. We all know each other, but just share your name and then something that has inspired you lately, perhaps that you've seen in the community as a response to the strange times that we're in. So I'm going to just assign you to a room, and I'm going to do it randomly. And it's going to be very exciting.
Just a question before you send us into breakout rooms, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Are we all still here in one room? I think we are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also have the power to put us all back in one room?
Mm-hmm.
because what I know from doing this before is if you find yourself in a breakout room that you want to leave and go back to the main meeting, there's on the lower right-hand corner of your screen, it says leave breakout room, I think, something like that. That takes you back to the main meeting. And if you want to leave a meeting, that's also how you do it, is highlighting the leave meeting at the lower right hand. But you're going to send us into breakout rooms with some sort of set time period and then bring us back?
Yep.
Okay. Should be interesting. Now this is interesting. Is this a subset of us? I guess it is. Okay. Okay, but we have to join.
Hi, Jan.
Aha, now can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Jan, I think you and I are in a meeting room all by ourselves. I just
Okay.
sent the rest of the folks into breakout rooms to share what they found inspiring lately in the community.
Okay. I missed the first introductory part since I can't see the little icon sweat push. Now I'm getting there.
Great.
So am I supposed to join the breakout room?
It looks like you are in, you have to
It says join breakout room here.
yeah,
I found.
click that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. 15. Yeah. 12. Did you conveniently not put yourself in a room? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Can you spy on the rooms? Yeah, you can. I should have, huh? Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Have you been doing a lot of Zoom?
I've done a couple things so far. I'm still needing to learn how to do it because I want to try to do it for our CCL chapter too, eventually, hopefully by the end of the month. But yeah, it's been hard to get motivated to do things for me with all the craziness. Like I just don't, when it says hunker down and shelter in place, it kind of paralyzes me. I don't really want to do anything.
I think we're back. I got put back in the main room. This is Tim.
All right. Can everyone hear me? I just muted you all so that we can, so that I can call on you each by name and give you a brief little update. I posted our agenda at the beginning of our chat. If you have never used Zoom before, this is going to be a fun learning experience for all of us. So you can go down to your bottom bar and mute and unmute yourself as soon as I give you the permission again to unmute yourself. You can also stop and start your video down in the left-hand corner. And I have started a recording, so this video will be posted later for us all to see. And we're gonna have a couple folks give quick updates during this meeting. We'll have an update about the community compost and a little brainstorm, and then an update about Solarize. And then Ben will share about the Alaska Energy Transparency Project. And then we'll have a little update about the Sustainability Commission and some Earth Day plans from Jan. And then we'll hear from Eric and CO about their campaigns for HEA board. I hope that this will be a fun and informative and participatory meeting, and I'll do my best. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on how the community compost solution is going. Right now, I've had some concerns about what are we doing to keep people safe. Our compost solution is pretty safe, but just to make sure that we do our absolute best, we're just going to have folks drop off at the Community Action Studio only on Mondays from 11 to 3. Willow will be there doing her pop-up suppers, but she's only doing those for delivery. If you want to do that with her, she has those available at 3 for pickup outside. But we're going to have a tote, and folks can go and leave their compost there. We'll have some wipes and some things, but that'll be a pretty good solution while we maybe think of a better one. And then folks can still, of course, leave their compost out at Maddie's farm. And Ben has done a great job putting together a map that we'll share soon so that folks can maybe have a little bit easier time finding their way to Diamond Dam Ranch and participating in the compost solution. I think what we need to figure out is how to better manage our data so that we can get more people participating and more people more easily figuring out how to, just log in their compost weight. We've got about 60 folks participating right now, and I think a great goal would be 150 folks and maybe 10 businesses participating by October. And there's lots more that we can do, and I'm curious your thoughts. And I'd love to see them in the chat. If you click on the chat box, you can write a comment in the chat to everyone. You can also write private messages to each other. But if we, do you think that we need to have another space available, like in Soldotna or more centrally located, for people to sort of collect compost together, and instead of all of us driving to Diamond Dam Ranch. We can still, please type in your thoughts in the chat so that we can all read them. So right now we can drop off compost at the Community Action Studio just on Mondays from 11 to 3. Before we could kind of drop it off whenever we wanted, but because of the virus and because it's getting warmer outside and I don't want animals to get into it outside of the studio, we might need another place to put the compost in Soldotna. Or maybe Mondays from 11 to 3 is a good enough window weekly. And we can encourage folks to either do that or bring their compost to Maddie's farm whenever they want, and maybe they can help their neighbors, you know, pick up compost and bring it. And we can also encourage folks to compost at home. You know, that's one of the best solutions for this, for reducing food waste is to do it right at home. Most live in Soldotna and Kenai. Yeah, I think it's a tricky solution. I'm going to unmute everybody, and if you could just raise your hand, if you can find that feature. And then we can try to not speak over each other. If you aren't speaking, please mute yourself. But yes, Willow will be doing food on Mondays at the Community Action Studio. She'll be there preparing food from 11 to 3, and pickup of food is at 3 precisely. But if you want to just go and drop off food scraps, you can do that anytime from 11 to 3. There will be a tote out front, right at the front of the office.
Hey, Caitlin.
Yeah.
I figured out how to raise my hand, to give you the raise hand icon, but I was mostly showing that CO has been raising his hand on the video. No, maybe he said, maybe he canceled that. Okay.
Awesome.
And what are we raising our hands to say?
If you need to speak, just raise your hand and I can call on you so that we don't all try to speak over each other at once. Yeah, Alexi made a good point. Alexi, do you want to mention that?
I said that I think we should ask people not to put food scraps from like leftovers from dinner plates, anything that could have come into contact with saliva in the compost during this time.
It looks like Carrie is unmuted now.
I'm still trying to figure out how to find how to raise your hand without raising your hand in the video. I know there's a function to do that, but I can't find it.
So display the participant list. There's an icon at the bottom of the screen that says participant list. And then At the bottom of the participant list, there are two buttons. One is mute me and one is raise hand.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Caitlin's muted now. I thought Alexi made a good point. Thanks, Alexi.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Alexi. I think it's a good time to be extra cautious. Alexi, would you share what you learned from other communities and friends?
Sure. So I'll just mention too that I had gotten us on the Borough Assembly agenda for April, but then that meeting was canceled and Joni contacted and asked if I wanted to reschedule. And I said, yes, we do, but I think they probably have other things on their plate. She hasn't given me any dates for that. But I did speak with a friend of mine who is in the solid waste department in New Mexico, working directly on composting. And her suggestions were to really try to start by working with the landfill or the solid waste department here and just get to know them, see what their knowledge is, see what their interest is. And I think we might have talked about that before. See if there are other kinds of compost they might be interested in doing, like mortality composting, like they have the carcass collection, but looking at their information, I don't think they're actually composting that. I think they just collect it separately. And she suggested if they're not interested in composting, communicating with like Parks and Rec, anywhere that might generate a lot of wood chips, because that's helpful for large scale composting. And then just approaching the borough in a collaborative way also for the next landfill, even though that's a ways out, to see if we can kind of collaborate with them to definitely get compost included in that, if they're kind of lukewarm to adding it to the current site. But hopefully someone there will be like, yeah, I've always wanted to do composting. We'll see. But my intention is to reach out to the folks at solid waste and just get a better sense of who they are and what their interest is and how open they are to it as kind of an interim step while we're waiting to present to the borough.
That's awesome, Alexi. I know that Jack Marriott, I learned, is retiring very soon. And so there will be a changing of the guard and new folks in there. And it'll be interesting to see how receptive they are to doing things differently and at the landfill. Thanks for the update. Did you also have anything else that you'd like to share? You mentioned something about some other communities.
Oh, no, that was it. Just that I had been talking with this friend in New Mexico because she's got a lot of composting experience. And as far as compost as a product, just some things that we would want to think about too, like it is a valuable product, but sometimes that can make it more challenging because you have to get rid of like all the rubber bands and stickers that wind up on the produce, and if it's going to be a saleable product. So that's just something to think about. So yeah, I would say that's about it.
That's awesome. Thanks, Alexi. Yeah, I think that we've had a green light for a while at our landfill unofficially with Blair and with Jack Marriott, who's the solid waste director, that, you know, if there's a way that the community can sort of offer somebody's services, then there's land available for the community to run its own composting on borough land. And that's a non-official sort of, you know, previously said statement. But I think that where the rubber hits the road is that it takes a lot of time, a lot of equipment to do an operation that big. And what we learned, thanks to Heidi's, Heidi found that research from the Institute for Local Self-Reliance that sometimes a solution that is a municipal solution isn't as direct or as effective as smaller scale, more distributed solutions in neighborhoods and between businesses and farmers and residents, for instance. So it's just really good. The more that we dive into the solution, I think the more we learn about how it can be done most effectively. I also, you know, I think it's good that we keep thinking about new spaces. Thanks for the brainstorm in the chat,
Yeah.
About, how can we continue to do this safely, especially right now, in the next few weeks and months and into the summer. I'm hopeful that things will calm down a little bit, but I think we're in this new reality for a while now. And so perhaps a new tack to take is to really reach out to our friends and neighbors on the phone or on Zoom to do workshops about composting, to encourage folks to get a couple of their own chickens. There's so many ways that we can become a community who composts, which is our main goal through this solution that we've decided is the first one that we're going to tackle. Is there anybody else who has anything to say quickly about community compost before we move on to Solarize? Any updates from successes you've had or progress you've made, people you've talked to in the last month? And you may have been muted. I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm on audio
you.
too. So. But anyway, I just wanted to add on the composting that I had met with Shane at the VFW in Soldotna and briefly with I forgot his name, the gentleman from the American Legion on K Beach Road. And they're interested in the composting. Specifically, we offered to bring in a bucket just for their coffee mess, where they make coffee in the bar and everything. But they're closed down now for the 100 days as well too. So, but that's on the agenda for when we open back up for business, is to get them involved in the composting. Do you hear me all right?
Tim?
Yes, that's Tim.
This is Jan. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jan.
Is the plan with Diamond M, is Blair still in the process of how we got it set up there on Poppy Lane and trying to educate public to add into that come warm weather and melted snow?
We're gonna have to utilize a different area on that particular farm's land. And I think that won't happen until June or July, I think, is when Blair will really start being able to add to that compost. Right now, all the compost is being utilized on site on Maddie's farm. But that's a great question. And I think, one of the great things about that site is that it does offer folks the chance to see what a larger scale than a home composting situation can look like. So I'm hopeful that the answer to your question is yes.
Because those of us who were into it saw how it was set up, and his idea being that once we get it set up and going, that people, community people, if we set up a instructional board there and had some way to control how things go in, is that they can see it happening. Because a lot of people are willing to save their stuff but not do the process.
I think that last year he really needed the help. It's not very glamorous work, but picking out rocks so that his equipment doesn't hit it is very helpful, helping pick up the inevitable flyaways that came from the festival waste. Sometimes those compostable bags drift to the top and they float away. So there is always lots of fun getting dirty hands-on work to be done with compost, and I think that's one of the best parts of the solution, is that it allows you to have more nuanced and larger conversations about climate change and carbon emissions and how you can impact those numbers in real ways, but also get your hands dirty and be moving, which is a really great way to change behaviors and to have the solution sink in on a real level. I think Blair is pretty easy to get a hold of, and I know that he really appreciated your help, Jan. So if you want to reach out to him, please feel free.
Thank you.
Caitlin, I was wondering if we had a animal-proof box in the keeper, would it still be fine?
I think that it would be fine.
So if we somehow devised a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, a metal bear-proof container out front would probably be fine. We just need a good system also for transporting the compost. So all hands on deck kind of a situation, or somebody who wants to take it over to deliver on Fridays, for instance. I'm so grateful to everyone while I was gone who helped on Fridays deliver it from the Action Studio over to Blair's. But I think it's more fun when it doesn't fall on one person, when it's a group effort.
Mm-hmm. And I could also do a drop-off location at the senior center too, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, once stuff gets back to normal, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone have a lead on bear-proof containers that we might be able to source? A thing to keep in your brain.
I'm just thinking about, I'm mindful of your time, Caitlin, so I'm going to put my comment I'm going to write in my comment for later consideration. How about that?
All right, great. Yeah, I'm going to move us along so that we can keep this meeting spicy and brief. Ben, would you give us an update on Solarize the Kenai? Ben, are you on? You might be on mute. I can give a quick update while Ben maybe rejoins us or figures out the nuances of Zoom. Technology. I'm surprised I haven't screwed it up yet, more than I have already. But Solarize is moving forward. Bruce, feel free to step in, or anyone after. I'll just give a quick update. The request for proposals date was cut off, and now the request for proposal team is receiving proposals from installers, and their cutoff date is coming up soon here. I believe it officially ended on the 27th. And Ben, I'm gonna try to unmute you here. I don't think you are muted. You should be good to go now.
Hello?
There you go, Ben.
Okay, good. So yeah, as Caitlin said, we had our deadline for proposals from installers. We got proposals from 5 installers, which is more than I was expecting. Looking over the prices they've offered, I'm pretty impressed about some of the potential discounts we could have. So I've sent those out to the RFP committee. We're meeting tomorrow evening via Zoom again, and we're going to be announcing our installer and the price per watt on April 4th. And also in the Lower Peninsula, they've been kind of replicating our model for Composting, Homer, and Chicken, Anchor Point, and they've also been very successful. I think they had. Do you remember the number, Caitlin? I think it was somewhere in the 60s or 70s for the number of people on their RFP, and they're going to make their announcement of the chosen installer on May 6th. And we thought about asking our installers to give us some sort of supplemental information about how they plan to handle the virus, and we decided against that. But it's something we're going to be having. It's a conversation we're going to be having with the chosen installer after they're chosen, discussing how to do outreach and education and things like that without being able to meet face to face. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, feel free to put them in the chat window.
And if you're not on mute, could you please put yourself on mute, because we can hear a bit of background noise. Thanks.
And yeah, if you have any questions as well, put them in the chat window, and I'll talk a bit about that.
I'm very grateful to everyone who's serving on the RFP committee and to everyone who twisted neighbors' arms and spread the word. I know my dad did a lot of work, and many people did a lot of work to encourage folks to hop on. And we had almost 200 folks sign up as interested, which I think is amazing in our area. And I think we should do this again next year. And I'm just so grateful to Ben, and especially because you've done so much work to make this project happen on such short notice. We should be incredibly proud of all the work that has been done. So like, woo, jazz hands.
And the dates, if you couldn't hear them, it's April 4th is when we're going to be announcing our installer, and April 6th is when the Lower Peninsula, Homer and Milchick, and Anchor Point are going to be announcing their installer. So.
That's great. And then Ben, I know that we're in a strange reality. I think that there will be workshops for folks, probably from the installer, maybe on Zoom, who knows, on how to interact and how to actually move forward, perhaps in May.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to have workshops in April, pretty soon after the installer is chosen. We want to get it off the ground pretty quick. The difficult part is really reaching people who haven't heard about Solarize and might be interested. Things like Zoom meetings, you have to send invites. So the only people who are going to be in the workshops are people who already know about it. And we were counting on things like the home show and different public events to reach people who might be interested in solar but haven't heard of Solarize yet. So I think the installer is going to have to figure out ways to do more advertising to reach that crowd.
We did post this meeting, for instance, on our Facebook event, which is open to the public. And so anyone on the internet could have seen it and joined either from their phone if they didn't have internet or from their home internet. So I think that Zoom potentially is a great way to reach people in the public who've never heard of it before. Well, we might have to throw a little bit of money on Facebook ads. We could figure out other online forums to host it, but a virtual workshop, I think, could reach a lot of new folks, even with Zoom.
Yeah, that's, well, we'll have to pick your brain on that because I'm still pretty new to Zoom.
I'm a novice too, but yeah, I think, and I'm sure the installer will have lots of ideas as well.
Yep. So in case you don't remember exactly how the Solarize model is going to work, the RFP folks are going to choose an installer, and they're going to reach out to some more people and try to gather as many people as they can to offer the Solarize rate to. And most of them have tiered pricing. Actually, all the installers who send us proposals have tiered pricing, which means that if so many people join the program and ask for a Solarize discount, the price is going to be so much. And if more people join, then it passes to another tier and the price gets lower. So that's supposed to be a strong incentive to bring a lot of people in. And so we're gonna have to think of ways along with the installer of reaching people for that. So that's pretty much where Solarize is right now. I was kind of expecting it to sort of crash and burn once the virus outbreak started happening, and frankly, it still might. I imagine with the financial strain a lot of people are under, solar is going to start slipping down the list of priorities. So
Or it may slip to the top if.
or it might rise. We'll see.
Yeah.
We haven't quite steered the ship into harbor yet, but
yeah. If anyone else who's been working on Solarize has any updates, please add to the chat, and I'll ask Ben to move on to the Alaska Energy Transparency project that he's working on.
Yeah. So another thing I've been working on is it's called the Alaska Energy Transparency Project. It's a news website. You can all go to it right now. The web address is akenergytransparency.org. I'll type that in the chat when I figure out some things. Okay, so I'm typing the web address into the chat, so you can all go and check it out. So the idea of this website is that we're going to be reporting on electricity cooperatives, kind of in the same way that the journalists traditionally report on City Hall, on local governments. We're going to be going to meetings and recording votes and conducting interviews. And it's kind of a change from the way that energy is usually reported on. In Alaska, there are a lot of good publications doing good energy journalism. There's APRN's Energy Desk. There's the ADN has good energy writers. The Alaska Journal has good energy writers. But they usually cover energy primarily through an economic lens, and we because these utilities are cooperatives and they are led by member-elected boards of directors. We want to cover them more along the lines of democratic institutions, the way you'd write about city government. And if you have a chance to look at the website there, you'll see that we have a news section. We have 2 stories there, both about HEA. We ultimately want to recruit writers in all the utility areas. And but at present, it's mostly HEA centered. And on the subject of recruiting writers, another goal we have is to sort of spread democratic engagement in utility decisions, not just by being an information source, but by giving other people, everybody who's interested, the tools to write about it. So we have a resource page there as well, which is pretty bare bones at the moment. But I'm going to be adding to that with information about the Regulatory Commission, about the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and all these different resources you can use to find out what's going on with local energy. And ultimately, if you want to write for the site, you can. We aren't paying people for it at the moment, but we do want to kind of use this as a venue to make everybody a journalist, make everybody able to go to utility board meetings and understand what's going on and be able to follow their decisions and put them into context of all the legal structures surrounding them. And so that's kind of the goal of the project. I'm working on it with the Alaska Public Interest Research Group. And if you have any questions about it, or you're really interested in writing for the project, you can type them into the chat window or speak. So thank you.
Thanks, Ben. I just unmuted everyone. So if you do have background chatter, please mute yourself again. But thanks so much for the update. That means we are all going to become journalists who seek the truth and uphold the pillars of democracy. So yeah, don't hold back. Thanks for the link. I'm going to move to a little update about the Sustainability Commission, which is an outgrowth of the work that Kenai Change did several years ago to add to the comp plan, to evaluate the borough's old comp plan and make sure that it had language in it about being adaptable to a changing climate and to address climate change. And Penelope from Katchmack Conservation Society has also done a ton of work to work with other communities and with the borough to figure out what kind of language we might be able to put into a new ordinance that would actually bring about an advisory sort of commission to the borough to help them in it. You know, I think that it will be called a Resilience and Security Commission that deals with, you know, finding solutions, finding long-term sustainability solutions for the borough. So the focus is sustainability. The name will be most likely Security and Resilience Commission if we can get enough folks to support it, to bring it into being. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. Bruce, or if anyone has any thoughts to add, this will likely be something that happens and is introduced as early as April. And I think that, you know, it's written into our comp plan right now to bring about a commission on sustainability. So we have a lot of good building blocks to build something like this. And I'm really excited about it because it's basically like our drawdown series where we bring experts together to brainstorm solutions for the borough to save money and plan long-term and address a changing climate. I think it's one of the most exciting things happening right now, in addition to the borough, to the HEA board elections. So if you haven't already, I'm going to send everyone a quick link to the KenaiChange.org website. And Ben has done a ton of work on this website. It's for the Kenai Change efforts. There's a page on Solarize, there's a page on the Community Compost, and there's also a page on this Borough Sustainability Commission. So please add your 2 cents or 4 cents to why this commission would be helpful to you as an individual, or perhaps your organization or business. Just a couple sentences is all it needs, but if we can demonstrate that this idea of a commission on sustainability has broad-based support to the assembly, it'll be a lot easier for them to bring it into being. So if anyone has any thoughts, please add to the group chat or quickly insert yourself. So the word security, there's been a lot of conversation about this. We've done a lot of work ground truthing how Sustainability Commission lands on people. Penelope has given presentations to the HEA board, and we've talked with a lot of folks, farmers, oil field workers, a lot of different groups, and a lot of people are like, what do you mean by sustainability? I personally don't have any problem with the word. I think Commission on Sustainability is very accurate and clear. So that is included in the subheading, but I think that security, and it will actually be called Resilience and Security Commission, most likely. It's not official yet, but with the subheading, finding long-term sustainability solutions for the borough. And hopefully that will clarify things and also be something where the right and the left can come together to create solutions for the borough, and it will be more palatable for everybody. Penelope had very strong feelings, and she's done a ton of work on this. So moving on, if you have further thoughts about this, all feedback is welcome. Please add to the KenaiChange.org and go to that Commission on Sustainability page and type in some thoughts about what you think the name should be and what you think the commission should focus on. We really want this to be a problem-solving sandbox, basically, for the community. And really, we just want to get this thing created so that then we can start doing awesome things within this new, basically new focus group for finding sustainability solutions. That is a very good point, Bruce. I share your concern. I think security makes me think about police or, security software or something like that. I think I'm hopeful that with beginning Resilience and Security Commission, hopefully that will be more. I personally think that Commission on Sustainability is clear. So Bruce, if you have feelings about this, please reach out directly to Penelope. We still have time before the actual ordinance language is introduced. So it's all a work in progress, and yeah, we just definitely want to. Yeah, Diane and Ben, I do think security adds confusion to the purpose. Yeah, I'm hopeful. Penelope was hopeful that that subheading of, long-term sustainability solutions for the borough would really clarify what the purpose is of the commission. But by all means, go to KenaiChange.org, type in your thoughts on the tab for the commission, and also reach out to Penelope. Yeah, and I think the real thing is that we should all stay engaged. Carrie and everybody is sort of chiming in on, it's so important. This is not just about one commission. We should feel incredibly proud knowing that this is coming about only because so many people spent so much time and effort asking local leaders to make this a priority. And so we're building on the shoulders of many people who have asked this question before us, and we're going to carry it forward. I hope that there are lots of local leaders and experts who we can get to serve on this commission to work towards the best solutions for the borough. And then yes, all of us need to give support to this coming into being and share that it's happening with friends and neighbors, especially those who are politically different from us, but who have a vested interest in long-term sustainable health of the borough. So sorry, I'm gonna stop talking. But please keep the chat going and add your thoughts to KenaiChange.org tab for the commission. I'm gonna ask Jan to give a quick update on Earth Day plans.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, just to make sure, just update where we're at in the process. The events and things that we were planning on doing, that our main emphasis being to share with the community all the positive things going on in our community, and we set up with workshops and opportunities for people to share from the agencies, etc. All that is obviously, the venues are closed. We discussed when and where this could possibly happen. Maybe Memorial Day, maybe later in the summer. Everything is up in the air like our entire lives. So that's kind of where. We did come to the conclusion that we wanted that the environment not to disappear from people's consciousness because we're so ingrained in this crisis that's going on in our country and in the world. So we have had, I don't know if I'll hold it up. We have had 3 of these big flyers made, banners made, that are going to hopefully get up this next weekend and be out in the community and moved around just to remind people that this is happening. So that's one thing that we're doing. And as far as emphasis, trying to figure out Earth Day, when I went on the earthday.org website, which I would suggest that people go on and share, there are things going on there that groups can decide on actions to take. When I went through them, there are 3 that, well, 2 that just hook directly, because in the commission outline that Ben and Penelope and Caitlin and whomever worked on, the first thing listed there was for the commission to do was divert materials that would otherwise be discarded in landfills within the borough to extend the lifetime of landfills and save taxpayer dollars. I'm hoping that's still the main thing because it hits on conservation and it hits where a lot of people can relate, even if they're not tuned in to climate change. They can always relate to saving money because that's one of our resources, and we need to do that. So in the things that we had planned for Earth Day, it included workshops on composting and that process that's going on in the community, information about recycling, how do you reduce things in the landfill, cardboard being the one thing that we need to get out of there that is taking up cubic footage and can be recycled. I should have said that the other thing is leaves and grass and things like that that need to be composted instead. And then the whole idea that in our community, buildup is in the process of coming into being so that building materials can be reused and not basically thrown away. So those are things that are happening in our community that are related to other activities that we can coordinate and be part of. The other thing in the earthday.org list of action was to switch to green power, which is where our solar energy hooks right into that. So we're on a track that makes sense and trying to figure out what in small groups we can do. On that website, you personally can volunteer for Earth Day. You can sign up and decide what you can do personally. Hopefully as a group, the Earth Day committee, that we can, after this next week, we can come to some idea of what we could help support and do. So I think that that's kind of where we're at, trying to be visible, trying to reinforce things that our community is doing that are positive, and basically moving on all the projects that are in our community that are amazing. So that is basically where we're at this point. Any questions or suggestions?
Jan, thank you so much and everybody on the committee for all the work you did. I'm sad that we won't have an in-person gathering, but there are many ways, like you said, we can still celebrate. And one thing we can do if we're on social media or if we have a window and we have some paper, we can hold it out, share that message that Jan said, celebrate Earth Day every day, and add a link to the Kenai Change site and encourage folks to get involved with our climate change solution here locally, which is diverting food waste from the landfill. I know that Heidi said there's a composting workshop that the Cooperative Extension is hosting. We can link to all of these great things that are already happening in our community. And I think the one that we should gather people into is our community compost solution. Get as many folks as we can on board, whether it's encouraging them to compost at home, to bring scraps into Maddie's farm, or to just start thinking about how they can reduce their food waste. Thanks, Jan. And if you have any other ideas, Jan, or anyone else about Earth Day, please just add them to the chat so that we can have them. I'm going to call on CO and Eric next, because they are candidates for HEA's board of directors. CO, maybe you can give us a quick pitch so that we might share why we think you need to be on the board. You're running unopposed, but I still think folks can vote for you. And then we'll move to Eric.
Okay, well, first, thanks, Caitlin, for this time to speak to everybody. I've been thinking about running for the HEA board for a few years, mostly because I wanted to get involved in my community in some way. Not interested in being in politics, but I want to do something for my community. And I have an engineering background, and I think fits well with being on the board and understanding how our electrical system works. Unlike some folks, I didn't run because I have a an axe to grind or a particular issue I'm concerned about. And I don't really even have any plans to make any changes until I learn more about it. It's a big, complicated organization, and I want to spend the first part of my time on the board just learning more about how HEA operates. I've been going to some of the board meetings this past winter just to get a feel for that. You know, I think HEA is an exciting organization compared to other utilities around the country. A lot of utilities are giant organizations, and it's hard to make any changes. You know, HEA is smaller, and we're in kind of an exciting spot here in Alaska where there's it's a smaller grid and it's new, and there's chance to make some changes and make changes in the right direction, which I think the board has been doing already. I mean, we purchased that grid scale battery, which will help us to connect more renewables to the grid. So anyways, I'm just excited to be get a chance to serve on the board. Any questions? Anybody have any questions for me?
Have you had a chance to attend meetings, CL?
Yes, I've been to a few meetings this past winter, not just to sit in and see, you know, try and learn who's who and what's going on.
And you would be representing which area?
Just District 2, which is Soldotna, Sterling, Kasilov.
And replacing which person who's timed out?
He didn't time out. He decided not to run again, and my memory's failing me right now.
That's all right.
You know, it's funny, as leading up to the filling out my candidacy packet and everything, I was really focused on this stuff. And now, of course, the pandemic has derailed all of that. So it haven't been thinking about it too much lately.
Thanks for sharing while you're running. And if folks have other questions, please add them to the chat. And I wanted to give Eric a minute or so, just a real brief, why you're running and what you might need from the group. How can we help?
Right. Yeah, like CO, I've been trying to find something I can do in the community to help out. But yeah, I see the writing on the wall, you know. We're gonna need renewables here soon, right? So I mean, I'd like to see that HEA, you know, can move in a direction that promotes more renewable capacity, really, such as adding pumped hydro to our hydroelectric dam, or we're taking a step in the right direction with the grid-tied battery. But I'd like to see HEA facilitate people to generate their own electricity, really. It's a good way for HEA to increase its share of renewable power without HEA having to buy a solar farm or another hydroelectric dam, or these things cost millions and millions of dollars. But if we can get people to install solar on their own house, kind of similar to Solarize, and it could just be added on to their HEA bill, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything that you need from this group? I know you do have a campaign to run. You're running in District 1, Kenai and Nikiski. And I know that we have some folks on this call right now who live in that area and maybe have some connections or might be able to help you out on social media. What do you need?
Sure. So I'm in the process. I'm trying to make a short video with Bjorn from Homer, and then I'm going to try to write a letter to the editor. I don't have any Facebook presence, but my wife, she's on Facebook, and the other day she had come across a posting about the HEA rate increase, and there is nearly 200 comments there, and people are pretty irate. You know, HEA increasing the cost of power in a pandemic. But yeah, definitely. Some of the people there were interested in getting on solar, so I kind of pointed them towards the Solarize page and everything there. But yeah, I probably should make a Facebook page, even though I despise Facebook.
Well, it's a great way to reach people, even if you just create one for a month, or your wife maybe could manage one for you. But Eric Hendrickson for HEA board is just a page that you can create just for your campaign, and I think that's a really awesome way to reach out. To
it's going to be the #1 probably way.
Sure. So it's only a month before the election, I think, really, and folks will get their ballots here next week, or if and so it'll be quick and over before you know it.
Does Eric have anyone running against him?
All right.
Yep, there is a man running against him. Wow, I know I've looked at this name a million times. Ben, help me out. Gary Johnson? No.
James
Who's
Duffield,
your opponent?
I believe his name is James Duffield. I'm looking up a link to the candidate resumes, and I'll put it in the chat window so people can go and look at them.
Thanks. Yeah, I read his resume, and I don't know him, but everybody can go on the HEA website and read the candidate statements, and decide, of course, if you are in District 1, who you want to vote for. But I think the obvious choice is Eric. But yeah, Eric, please reach out to the group to help you. It's only a month long, and I think it's one of the most important things that's happening really in the next week. Folks are going to get their ballots, and they're either going to throw them in the trash, or they're going to cast them. There's about 1,500 folks ish who are going to cast their vote in your district, and so as many of those folks as you can reach, and we can help you reach. It's it's a small number really in the big scheme of things. So if you live in that district, or if you know anyone, we all have friends in Kenai and Nikiski, please send them a text or call them and encourage them and their friends to vote for Eric.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, my
I'm leaving you
drop signal.
out, CEO. I'm super excited that you're running unopposed, and that you are gonna serve on the board. We are over our hour, but we kept it to an hour, and we had a lot on the agenda, so I'm really enthused. If there's anything that folks have for the good of the order, if there's a couple comments, I'll give us a few more minutes.
I've got something. I just wanted to let the folks who are also interested in the Citizen Climate Lobby, creating of our local chapter. My plan for that is I'm going to try to do a weekly email. I have your email if you went to the introductory workshop at the college. If not, please send me an email at courageoustiger@gmail.com, and I will put you on the list. And so there'll be like a weekly email with like a small little action, and then I'm hoping by the end of April, the last weekly thing will be actually a Zoom meeting once I figure out how to do it.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining digitally. I feel very connected to you, and I think this is a wonderful platform. If things haven't changed in a month, we'll do the same thing for the 4th Sunday in April. And thank you so much for your time. It's a blessing to all be here together.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Happy Sunday.
Oh, there's Sue.
Yeah. Wow. Look at everybody. I'll have to do like a quick screenshot.
Let me get it too.
So shift option 4, is that a screenshot?
No idea.
Oh,
Did you get a screenshot?
I don't know, maybe we just need to take a picture of everybody.
Oh no, are people leaving? Okay. That's not a very good picture.
I'll post the recording of this meeting should anyone want to really get in on things. This is the post official meeting. Ugh.
Oh my goodness. Is it time?